took a trip over to Clear Creek, dropped the anchor, and launched the drone. You can see the shadow here. It's a little bit windy, not too bad. I wanted to fly out over the peninsula. There's a walking trail. It comes from a park. I forget the name of the park, but they've got a tennis court. They've got a nice covered basketball court. There's me. I could fly the drone by watching it just fine, but I wanted to practice flying it, looking at the controller. That way, if it got out of sight, I could still navigate it back. And the radio had a pretty good connection. It got a little fuzzy a couple times, but for the most part, it was a really clear video. And back to the park, there's a kennel, kind of like a humane society kind of deal. They keep dogs. It's a really nice park for walking, and a lot of people fish there. So this walking trail on this peninsula from the parking lot of the park to the end and back, I think it's a little over a mile. And they closed this gate. There's a gate. I don't have it on the video, but right at the end of the neighborhood, there's a gate that they lock at dark, and you're not allowed to bring dogs in. So you can walk this area without worrying about anybody's pets. The only thing you really see out there is birds, rabbits. You might see a dragonfly and mosquito once in a while. I didn't go all the way to the end. You can see some people walking here on the trail. Around the corner, it goes all the way to a little turnaround at the end. And the cove is Party Cove. When the weather's nicer, there's me again sitting there in Clear Creek, which is not clear. It actually looks more clear from the air. You can see a little bit of depth. There's no boat traffic today. It was cool out. It was 60 degrees when I started, and the temperature dropped from there until after dark. It got pretty cool. This is Party Cove, and when the weather's nicer, that'll be full of boats. The people out there just drinking and playing their music. The neighbors in the area, they get tired of the noise, but most people are pretty well behaved around there. This is an area you can go fast where I'm sitting, but there's no boats today. There was one boat I passed coming in here that was fishing. Those two are just floating around. They're probably fishing as well. But you can see more depth in the cove than I expected. It looks really dirty. But the tide is really low today. And it's not supposed to be a high tide until 11:30. And I was probably out there around 4:30, maybe. I don't know if it was quite 5 o'clock. So between 4 and 5, it was pretty low. I think the low tide was at 2 or 2:30 today, so it had come up a bit, but it was still really shallow. You can see all the marinas and people's houses, and yeah, all around here. It's a big boat community. I hesitated to fly the drone out too far. I didn't want to lose track of it. If I lost radio signal, I wanted it to be somewhere I could see it. The camera is pretty good, but it bleaches everything out. It seems to take in a lot of light when the sun's out. After dark, it doesn't pick up light very well at all. So if I can adjust that a little bit, then I'll check into it. I think at this time I was testing the controllers to see if it would return to home, and I just moving the boat a little bit. That's probably when I did return to home to see if it would come back to where the controller was. And it did a pretty good job. The battery life is only about 15 minutes. I think this video overall is more than 8 minutes long. Now, when there's no wind, I can land this thing on the front of the boat without any trouble. I kept getting a wind gust whenever I would try to bring it in. So once it gets down here near the boat, I fly over the front a couple of times. I did eventually land it, but it bounced. I think the video ends before it lands really well. So I'm controlling it now. Seeing those blades come towards you, I'm a little cautious. I grabbed my arm with it one day, the first day I opened it, and it'll chop your skin pretty easy. Those blades are sharp, and they're spinning really fast. So seeing that thing come towards your face, I'm a little cautious about it when the wind's blowing. I think I'm just trying to steady it. I could have ended the video at this point, but just flying it, I guess, backwards over the front of the boat. I turned it around to see where I was going. Then I could at least give a viewer the idea that I was trying to land it. I guess I'm going to try to land it backwards. Well, turn the thing around. Come on. It doesn't have a gimbal, so whichever way the drone moves, so does the camera. There are much better adjustable, self-adjusting, stabilizing cameras than the one I have. Yeah, doing return to home is much more smooth than me trying to control this thing. And you know when it's coming towards you, if you look at the controller, you're going the right direction with the controls. But when you're looking at the drone, you have to do the opposite of what you're seeing. You know, if you want it to go to your right, then it's the left of the drone. So you're having to think from the drone's perspective instead of your own. A little bit of wind. I thought for sure I crashed it, and